Western Australia has reintroduced a hard border with Queensland, reclassifying the state as medium risk. Arrivals from the Sunshine State to Western Australia from March 27 must self-isolate for 14 days and be tested. Anyone who visited Queensland between March 20 and March 26 will be contacted by police for further advice. Travel from Queensland to WA will now only be allowed for exempt travellers.
It's no doubt will cause some heartache and some difficulty for people wanting to go to Queensland or wanting to come here from Queensland who might have thought it was all over, but frankly it's not. And we have to keep a very vigilant and very precautionary and very cautious approach to the importation of the virus into Western Australia. We have a great thing going here in our state. We want to keep it that way.
South Australia has also thrown up a hard border to Greater Brisbane. Residents, essential workers and those making a permanent move for work are the only Brisbane arrivals allowed to enter the state, provided they complete 2 weeks of quarantine. They'll also be required to return a negative test on day 1, day 5 and day 13. Any person who's entered South Australia from Greater Brisbane, and those areas include Moreton Bay, Ipswich, Redlands and Logan, from March 20 must also isolate immediately until they return a negative result.
We announced these restrictions. We're not happy to do this. In fact, we know that this is going to be a huge inconvenience to people, especially in the lead up to this Easter period. But it's quite clear to us now that there are cases in the Greater Brisbane area that have come into contact with the community there.
And Victoria has declared Brisbane a designated red zone under the state's travel permit system. Residents must apply for a permit to return home to Victoria and then quarantine for 2 weeks. In Tasmania, 5 local government areas in Queensland have been identified as high risk, so anyone travelling to the state from those areas must quarantine for 2 weeks on arrival, while the Northern Territory has declared the cities of Brisbane, Ipswich, Logan, Moreton Bay, Redland City and Toowoomba COVID hotspots. Anyone from these regions who entered the NT before 4:30 p.m. yesterday must self-isolate and be tested within 72 hours. All arrivals after 4:30 will have to quarantine at Howard Springs for 14 days.